Hey guys, what's going on? Tenny here, and welcome back to another kind of PvP mechanics tutorial video. So today we're going to be talking about latency and how that affects your reach. And there's been a lot of videos on the community going around talking about how on some person's screen it would be like you have like reach, on the other person's screen you don't have reach. I'm going to explain that and like why that happens. So first of all, what is latency? Latency is just the time it takes for an action performed in game to be received and interpreted by the server. So essentially this is measured in ns. You can also see this in command prompt. So I'm going to demonstrate this again. I did this multiple times in previous videos, but if you do ping google.com -n15, you can see that that's basically your reply time. So it will send a byte to the server, actually 32 bytes, and then it will see the reply time for it to interpret it and send it back. So in Minecraft servers, it's very similar. Now, I'm on a local host server at the moment, so essentially, me and my alt both have approximately 0 ms because it's hosted on my own computer. It can spike to 1 if I do get lag spikes on the internet network, but that's pretty much it. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. So now, how does Minecraft interpret ping? So, if you don't know, Minecraft runs on a tick system of 20 ticks a second. So that means that if there's 20 ticks a second and 1,000 milliseconds per tick, then the ping zones are 50 ms intervals, which means that anything under 50 ms, it doesn't matter. But it's a bit more complicated than that, and I'm going to explain why in a second. So the problem is that it's not just your ping, it's also your opponent's ping that's being factored in. So essentially, your ping. Okay, so you see, do an action on the server, right? So like, I have 75 ms. It's not Tenny has 100 ms, right? So I do an action on the server, like eat a golden apple, and then it takes 75 ms for my packets to go to the server, and then the server will interpret that in the second tick after I did it client side, and then it's not Tenny would then have to receive the packets. It would take 100 ms, so it's 175 ms for It's Not Tenny to see that I performed the action. So the delay here is actually the sum of our two pings, because they have to go to the server and be interpreted. So now It's Not Tenny sees Tribals eat the golden apple in the fourth tick after I actually did it, not the second. But Tribals eats the golden apple, client side, or the server interprets it in the second tick. So essentially, the reason why some people, like when they get combos, on their screen they're really close, and the other screen the guy's like 7 blocks away, is because of latency, and it's quite simple. If you didn't see my previous video on reach, the reach distance can actually go up to 6 blocks if you have lag, because that's how Minecraft basically fixes reach. And here's a post from Crypt Keeper about it right here. So essentially he shows this. He actually corrected this value to 3. This is 3, but this is essentially how it works right here. So it checks if it's within a 6 block reach distance, and if it's false, then it ignores the attempt, and then if it's true, it says you were hurt, player B 500 ms ping, or it says player B was hurt, player A 250 ms ping. And then it will check to see if the player is within 3 block reach distance, and then it will send it to the Minecraft server and then do it again. And that's essentially how attacking works in this game. So yeah, that's why. Because if you have 100 ms to a server, it's 100 ms plus the other guy's ping. So it's really like 150 ms or 130 ms total delay between the two parties. So yeah, it's actually probably more because it has to go through the server. But I'm not exactly 100% sure like what the specifics of that is. So now I'm going to talk about how that affects your game. So first of all, wtapping. You really only need to wtap once every 50 ms, which is 20 times a second. So I saw Kev's video, and he says you don't have to spam it. Yeah, you kind of do. Your game can register 20 times a second. Also, CPS. I'm going to cover everything in this video. Next video, by the way, is about straight lining, but and strafing. But okay, so yeah, so you everything in this game is like 20 ms or 20 times a second is like the limit. Like CPS even, you can get above 20 CPS, but it really doesn't affect much. That's also gonna be a different video, but it's gonna do like something with your sprint, but that's all it's gonna do. It's not gonna register more, because if you have 20 clicks in a second, you're gonna be clicking every tick, which is like pretty much the limit. If you click twice on the tick, it's gonna only register once. So yeah, that's like the best way I can describe it. So that's like latency, pretty much. There's not much really to it. Now, lower latency generally gives you less or more immediate knockback, and high latency gives you more delayed knockback, which if you configure correctly in your settings and like sensitivity and like just like the way you fight, you can make both of them to your advantage. So yeah. So the one other thing I wanted to stress is that you can only hit someone technically twice every second, but once every 10 ms, or once every 500 ms. What I wanted to stress here was that even though the attack cooldown is 500 ms, there are benefits of clicking faster, such as you have more consistent hits, and your sprint will break differently than low CPS, and even some auto clickers. I swear I'm gonna get fucking destroyed by saying this, but there are some auto clickers that will actually break your sprint differently in some clients. Not probably the auto clicker itself, but just the module will break your sprint differently. So that's what I meant to put here. And yes, you can remove the attack cooldown by switching from a lower damage item to a higher damage item. Peace out. Next video is probably on straight lining and strafing and movement. Peace out.